Hello and welcome to the RotD Deep Dive spoiler-filled discussion video on Puppet Master 2. Now, there's a few things that I want to cover, specifically about this movie and then something about second movies in general, but keeping it specific for right now. One thing that I really loved about this movie and the first movie, and I have a feeling all the movies to come, is the puppets themselves. I know I mentioned this in the first review, and I'm probably going to be repeating it throughout all the 13, but I really just did love them, the way that they presented themselves. I love the way that they are not inherently evil, that they are simply following the orders of their puppet master, but are still capable of independent thought, and they have feelings. And in this one, they obviously turned against Toulon, and rightly so. And I thought that was really, really a good moment there. The premise of the FBI investigators was so transparently shallow that it was laughable. It pretty much just put a sign on the front of the building saying, please enter so that you can be cannon fodder. That was pretty much it. We need humans so that we can kill humans and justify having a horror movie. That's how it presented. I mean, they had so little to do with anything about this movie. The fact that they were doing an investigation there, it was laughable. The monologuing I've already covered, but I really can't state it enough. When you have a villain, you cannot have them constantly go into monologuing. Honestly, even one scene is a bit too much as far as monologuing goes. If you, as a writer, director, whatever, cannot present your villain's intentions without the use of a 5-10 minute long speech, then you have failed as a writer or director. It's show, don't tell. That's one of the biggest key rules of writing, is show, don't tell. And when you have all the pacing of the movie grinds to a halt, not that this movie had a whole lot of pacing at all, but when you do, it grinds to a halt. And there was this commercial, I want to say it was Geico or something, where the interrogation villain has the hero just where he wants them, tied to a chair, and it's like, okay, well, let's bring out the PowerPoint presentation and okay, step number 1, find the right drill bit. That's pretty much how this movie felt, with Toulon constantly talking to his puppets, and it just got so painful. And is it just me, or I need to watch this? No, I don't need to watch this again. I really don't. But feel free to chime in, because I could be wrong. If you watched it and it's fresh in your head, I think that they made a Lon Chaney joke in this when one of the characters saw Toulon and he's all wrapped up in the rags and the goggles and the cloak and all that. He made a Lon Chaney joke. How do you see him and not make a Claude Rains joke? Maybe he did and I just missed it, but if I'm wrong on that, please tell me. But I have a feeling it was Lon Chaney. That just made so little sense to me. I mean, okay, fine, but if he had half his face, whatever. The ending of them going to the institution with the children, I am excited to see that. I hope that that's not a fake out. I hope that they actually do go to the institution with the children, and I hope that we do get to see that. I think that would be interesting as far as the setting goes. Wow, it just occurred to me that if they do that, that would be following the Nightmare on Elm Street thing, or the third movie goes into the juvenile institution. That would be interesting. Let's see how that plays out. And I've already covered in the review that Toulon was a bit of a jerk, and it threw me, and I didn't like it. I honestly liked the idea of the puppets following their gentle old master, and having this loving children parent-esque relationship with him. I like that dynamic, and I really do hope that if Toulon does come back again, that we get to see that. Now, more on a general thing about sequels. Usually they are the worst usually we wind up with an arc. If we deal with a franchise of, say, 5 or more movies, we typically have a bit of an arc where we have something that is really good, or at the very least very popular, and now that first one has achieved financial success enough to continue and turn into a franchise, turn into a, okay, let's make a sequel. This did well enough that I think we can capitalize on it, and let's strike while the iron is hot. Let's make a sequel. And the sequel usually suffers pretty hard for all the reasons that the filmmakers, or especially I think the producers, fail to realize why the first one was so good in the first place, and why it became so popular, and why people flocked to the theater and bought the VHS tapes. And they simply want the cash grab. And so they wind up, it's like, well, we have to make this and we have to release it now. Summer season's coming upon us. Halloween is coming upon us. So we have, I'm going to give you 24 days to shoot the movie, and 48 days to edit it and put it out in the theaters, and let's go. And that's pretty much how it goes. They don't want to make a quality movie that is telling a story that does the first one justice using the elements that made the first one popular. They want to capitalize on the name and the brand and put it out into theaters before the next calendar year is up. That's it. So, and I think that's one of the principal reasons that it suffers. So now we have the second one. First one up here, second one starts dipping. And second one usually draws in more money. It's just kind of a fact of it. Whether or not it's better or worse, usually worse, it pulls in more money. And then we get to the third one. And then we see, I think, kind of a reinstatement of quality, where now the brand has been established and people have established that they are willing to see it. And the filmmakers have hit their stride. They're no longer really suffering with the same special effects issues. They have the team put together. They have the camera work put together. They know, okay, well, if we're going to do this shot, then we need exactly this, and we need exactly this amount of time, and let's go. They're in the rhythm. And the storytelling process gets a little bit more of, more of a hands-off treatment, and the people that care about it tend to put more into it. So the third one, usually we find up with a good, increase in quality. And from there, like pretty much from 4 on, however many there are, from 4 on, we start to see a general, mishmash of quality and ultimately just parodying itself. We saw that with Nightmare. We saw that with, Friday the 13th. We saw that with Halloween. It just kind of took its own mythos, its own characters, and just kind of made them a parody of themselves. It took the bloodiest, cheesiest, killiest element to it and just kept on ramping that up and kind of forgetting about the storyline more and more, until the franchise finally, the people kind of got tired of it, and at some point started dropping off and saying enough is enough, and that's it. And then we start to see some resurgence and so forth, but that's getting way too out there. So focusing on the sophomore effect, I really do think that is a case of what happened in Puppet Master. I do think that it wound up just needing to get made, needing to get money, needing to get the VHS cassette in people's hands. And, if anybody had any objections about, well, we could have this character do this because it makes more sense here, it's like, just make the movie and get the money in our hands. That's kind of how it felt. And I'm curious to see if the pattern continues holding true, if the third one improves this. We'll see. So that about covers what I wanted to talk about in the deep dive. And tomorrow is a new day, and tomorrow is a new Puppet Master movie. I would love to hear from you. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, whatever, if you feel like this is the best of the series and that I'm just talking out my butt, I would love to hear from you. I genuinely would. So please leave comments below, and I will be reading them and engaging with them. And I really do thank you for making me a part of your day. I hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.